I am taking you today to Beaucaire, in June 1631, into an ordinary house, and yet at the very heart of a truly intriguing domestic drama. Here lives Anne Yllaire, wife of Pierre Fulcher, a married couple, just like so many others, but behind the facade, nothing is right. For in those times, people did not always marry for love. The church demanded consent, in theory. In practice, it was the families, the interests, and the alliances that decided. And everyone found themselves caught in a web of obligations: the home, the asta, the parents, the neighborhood. A life that was sometimes, or too often, mapped out in advance. In this closed-off world, to love freely was almost an act of rupture. Some tried to escape it, sometimes by fleeing, sometimes by what was called the rapture of seduction, a consensual abduction, often carried out with the help of the village youth. A way of forcing destiny, also a way of defying the established order. But here, in Beaucaire, the story takes a much darker turn. Anne Yllaire has left her husband. She fled the marital home to seek refuge with another man, a certain Domergue, and she categorically refuses to return. The case is brought before the court of justice. The judge seeks to understand. He summons the relatives, the neighbors, and the first to speak is the couple's servant, Jalette Dumazer, 22 years old. She lives under the same roof. She sees everything. Her testimony is brutal. She describes a woman in a state of permanent anger, insulting her husband, calling him a leper, a drunkard, a rogue. She even reports terrible words. Anne supposedly threatened to harm her own self to lose the child she carried in her womb, and to have her husband accused. She speaks of threats of murder, of poison, of knife blows. Such was the atmosphere of daily violence. The neighborhood confirms it. They mention furious manias. They tell of scenes where Anne throws herself at Pierre to strangle him. One neighbor even intervenes to try to hold her back as she flees the home, to bring her back to reason. She reminds her of what she risks: becoming a lost girl, excluded from the social body, reduced to begging or even worse, prostitution. So, reading these depositions, everything seems simple: a gentle, patient husband, and a violent, uncontrollable wife. But the archives, as so often happens, never tell the whole story. For the investigation was conducted at the husband's request. The witnesses are those of the prosecution. And in this file, one thing is striking. We never truly hear Anne's voice. Why this hatred? Why this flight? We can glimpse something else: an imposed marriage. Perhaps a love prevented. Perhaps even an attachment to this man with whom she took refuge. Then the violence changes meaning. It becomes the symptom of an imprisonment, of a life endured, of a body and a destiny confiscated. By leaving her husband, Anne is not just seeking a refuge. She is breaking an order. She is shattering a sacred contract. She takes the risk of losing everything: her reputation, her place, her future. In the eyes of justice, she is only a deviant woman. But in the silence of the archives, we sense something else: a revolt, intimate, desperate. The gesture of a woman who, in the heart of the 17th century, attempts, in her own way, to take back possession of herself.
Je cherche ton pas.